Let's go over this truck real quick. I was doing some more research for you on the 1997 Dodge Dakota and whatnot, and because I think I was 6 or 4 years old when Dodge started what they call, in the term of it, flaring out. And when they flare out, it's like they reach out and they grab your head, and it feels like you have someone's hand on your head. So don't do it. Don't do it because it's funny. One, be careful with your batteries and stuff, because I had a problem. That's a whole nother story, and whatnot. But to take a look at this is actually a 1996 engine, because I was wondering what the problem was. 1996 had the carburetor on it instead of the half modified. This is a half modification truck. And when I say half modification, you'll look underneath this, you'll have a platform. It'll have what looks like two injectors, but not two injectors. Yeah, they call it two injectors, air injectors, but it's stupid. It's actually two airflow flaps. It has not been named. That's why it don't work right. But I looked and said at the specs, and this is a 1993 to 1996 engine and whatnot, because of some of this. So this actually goes from 1993 to 1999. The difference in the engine is this right here is a half carburetor, and this is actually electronic carburetor. And what happens is this carburetor is actually probably, when you put the second half of it on, right up to there, and then they came and they realized they were a bunch of idiots and said, oh my word, look at that, I don't have enough top clearance unless I bevel the hood, which they could have easily done and got the top clearance on that hood by simply putting a square. You put a square in first and whatnot, and you close it to get the idea of how much clearance you're going to need with the carburetor. You lift the hood back up, and then you put your round bevel square, and then you take it over to the press and you press it. So that means they would have to cut this under part out and then square it up a little bit. So you get a little bit when you look at the hood of this. This right here wouldn't be indented. This would be high-rised, and that would cover your carburetor. That may sound like a dumb idea, but a lot of cars now have them because they need to, because they ain't got enough clearance underneath and whatnot. The only other thing they could have done with this is to change out the suspension and whatnot, but they were at their limits with the suspension, because I know this suspension. As far as what you would refer to this is not an OSD or injector. It's not a multi-port. It's gravity pump fed, okay? And the reason I say gravity pump fed, you got your fuel lines here for your injectors. Your pump literally pumps into this, and these injectors, they don't actually drip. They turn on and off by their computer, and you technically, to make it really easy, ever go down and put $8 in the car wash and go through the car wash, and it goes back and forth and it turns on and off. That's all that is underneath there, but it's not a car wash. All right, so it's actually very useless because it has no measurement. It does not measure fuel. It sprays at a consistent rate for a consistent amount of time at a consistent pressure. If you ever had one of these cars, the biggest complaint was one thing: there's no restrictor on the fuel. Second biggest thing, it smells like gas coming out of the rear exhaust of the vehicle. That's why. That experiment was never supposed to leave the factory at Dodge, but it did. So, like I told you, on that rear axle, on the emergency brake, and on the main brake, those two are supposed to be two lines, and they work independently on a bracket and whatnot. A lot of people ask me how much this truck costs from the time they manufacture it to the time it's done. Most vehicles cost, in the sense of that, if you do one person at every station that you have to utilize that has to touch this truck, you normally have an $18,000 cost. So this truck would normally, if it was sitting in Singapore in the EU, would run you honestly about $340,000. You're getting at hardly anything. And that's to pay for the the medical, the labor, putting it together, the assembly, and then the whole manufacturing costs on top of that, individually coming down through the line to every person that touches this vehicle. So what happened is to cut the BS out of everything, they pretty much have to charge a single person per line, where the union wanted it so that everyone that ever touched this vehicle, plus the manufacturing cost, which is already incurred, and everything else, that they double up by 20%. So if this vehicle runs, let's say this vehicle runs manufacturing from metal to machinist to the line to everything else, it runs an $80,000 to manufacture. They wanted to charge you another $20,000, even though that may not necessarily be 20%. But for an example, charge you another $20,000 on top of this, and they wanted that strictly. The company would give about 10% to 15%. The union gets the rest. No, that ain't happening. But anyway, as far as this vehicle, is it cheaper? As far as the manufacturer, this is the cheapest vehicle you can manufacture, but it does take a little bit of time. As far as the way it looks, this is more of your 1995 Dodge squared up, but they wanted a little bit more fancier one, so that's why the price tag goes up. So anyway, to get the price tag of about $20,000, what happens is once they manufacture 48,000 of these trucks and whatnot, and the manufacturer cost, we take all that, we audit that into a single total amount, and then we start breaking it down per how much I need per truck, without question, without any incentive bonuses or decreases that I need to make off this truck to pay for my employees, and the manufacturer, the facility, the lights, the electricity, and so forth. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Now, if you look at this right here, this is the old model Jeep injector back in 1960 to 1970. It's a top end. I call it a ball injector. They have another stupid little name for it. Your electricity outlet and the pump works inside and whatnot. Normally, the only thing I see missing with this one, because this is not the total Jeep package, is the actual pump, which would normally on the backside here would be tapped in to pressurize this unit, and it's not really supposed to be used for brake fluid because the line right here is too small. You need to thin that out for that to work correctly, but at the same time, you thin that out too far or not enough, or if it's too thick, you won't get anything through there. That's why this thing seems like it never changes level. It's always full. As far as down on the caliper, it will leak if you don't have the right setup on the caliper. As far as this air box right here, the alternative cone that you normally see on the sportier cars, they sell for $99 to $286. Piece of pipe with a cone filter. That cone filter is cheaper than manufacturing this box right here. This box actually is about $386, $486 piece of equipment. So is Dodge really thinking about as Chevy as the rest of them? Because I'm not just going to sit here and bash crap at a Dodge. You guys all don't use your heads very much. And it's been proven in court, in case you want to go to the court side, that you guys do not really amplify the fact that of cost effectiveness with the fact of, should I do 19 vehicles at one time and 19 different designs, or should I just do one or two and make the people wait for a certain design? Me, I'd make you wait. So you can call me an asshole later. As far as the exhaust on this vehicle, once again, we get back to a union squabble, a union lawsuit with Dodge and a few other people. Like I said here, this is supposed to have a piece of rubber in between, even the Mexican version, to make sure that when you go down the road, you don't hear the rear metal banging up and whatnot. This has a 2 3/4. Yeah, it has a 2 3/4 exhaust system, even though it's registered at a 2.5 2.5 inch exhaust system. It has a split back frame system so that you could go from the standard 6-foot bed to an 8-foot to a 10-foot bed or rear trailer part of it as you wanted to. Now to really get into this whole idea, this truck, this right here, was actually supposed to be able to, you could take all that apart, pretty much all that right there, you could take off and make a flatbedded truck with wheel wells. As you see with some of these vehicles, they didn't like that idea, even though they have about 40,000 sitting in stock and sold to other countries, and whatnot. As far as a lot of them, I mean, you're technically getting an $18,000 truck. No, I mean, a lot of people, they talk about how they got $11,000 Maseratis, and no one ever got $11,000 Maseratis. 40,000 was starting on that, mainly 100,000. But these trucks and Barracudas and stuff, they're like, oh, I got a $15,000 Barracuda. But at the same time, you're required to build your own Barracuda, almost, back then. Plus, they worked for the company, so that's a lot different. Because they made them, they couldn't sell them. They were big blocks and ran sloppy, and whatnot, because they took them out of Europe, and Europe did an engine swap on them, so that they couldn't get them to run right because they were stolen. Let's see. I'm not gonna pick on the rims because these are one of the things that come off quite a bit. Because you gotta change your tires and all that. I don't pick on those. Now, when we start talking about Cadillac converter, you start talking about the exhaust down here and whatnot. You get into the barrel exhaust systems. Once again, this is only a V6, and they call this, this the small class version engine. You don't need something that long. What you need something roughly about that long, running this type of pipe. You could even go that much because you're running an oversized Cadillac converter. That's oversized, and way up there, you haven't seen it, is an oversized Cadillac converter, about the same freaking size. There's the gas tank right there. As you notice, it says 20-gallon gas tank and whatnot, which is nice, but like everything else, a little bit over excessive. To me, that looks more like a 35 to a 36 gallon. Anyway, get back to the rest of this. I mean, overall, 60% of the truck to 50% of the truck is solid, coming out of the manufacturer. This truck right here, I don't think it was supposed to leave out of the manufacturer at all. But at the same time, I can tell you this, that between Oldsmobile and the union, there was lawsuits. Oldsmobile shut down, Plymouth shut down, Plymouth went out of business, Oldsmobile went out of business. Oldsmobile requested to come back, but they could not be unionized and whatnot. As soon as they go unionized, they're out of business again. Dodge closed down for a few days or a few months to try to reassess, how can they fix it, because this was a pretty big blunder on their part. So I mean, overall, I mean, you're getting a good truck. You're getting a crap of people not wanting to listen. So when your mommy and daddy says you might want to listen, be respectful. Ask them if they were ever union. They say yes, and say, why aren't you respectful? Why don't you listen? Why didn't you obey? Instead of going out front of the gates and, you know, we a little poster board and beating the crap out of vehicles all day. Anyway, like I said, that's for gas. That's not for brake. This is missing half the carburetor. There's another piece of the carburetor that goes on there. And then this normally is a compressed top, as you have seen like in the Chevy GM Blazers and whatnot, where this actually presses down and is more designed to sit down below than up top and whatnot. And then you have your shaft and all that to work with. If you're hearing some funny things on my videos, like me saying some funny things, there's a few people in YouTube that I think are messing with my videos, so that's why YouTube is now on the chopping block for his online sites of being removed. So have a good day. Bye bye.